Well, I figured I'd bring this one out today. I don't have a whole lot of Remingtons because usually I'm into somewhat more older guns than a Remington 870, which is what this is. But I do have a couple of 870s. One's a Wingmaster, a bit more worn than this one. And I have this 870 Express. I believe Remington referred to this as the police model. I don't know that for sure. 20-inch barrel, rifle sights. It has a higher grade of wood on there than I would expect from a standard police model. That screams, a regular hunting shotgun to me. A little higher grade than your basic model. Really nice wood. Deep blue. It is marked 870 Express on the other side. I believe this decodes to 1987. And when I got it, it was essentially new in a box. And it still is. I have yet to fire this. There's no particular need to fire it. I have plenty of shotguns. It was disassembled. The barrel was off. That's how they come in the boxes. All the tags and such with it, instruction manual, all that kind of stuff. And it came from, where did I get this? I think this was a flea market find from some estate, I'm sure. Someone probably bought it to hunt with, maybe, or maybe it was a surplus police gun that someone just put higher grade wood on. Don't know. Maybe they figured to hunt with it and just didn't. That happens a lot, more often than you'd think. Usually around here, it's a Mossberg 500 that's bought for someone that's looking to get into hunting and just ends up not doing it because they find out that hunting is work. It's not just you stroll out into the woods and bang. All of a sudden, there's a deer all neatly packaged up for you, in the freezer paper. It doesn't work that way, no. It's actually work, and you do need to know what the hell you're doing if you're going to be successful. But every now and then, something else turns up. This was one of them. The price was good enough when I bought it that I was not going to turn it down. Excuse me. Aluminum trigger guard. There are certain parts, I think the extractor or the ejector, one or the other, is milled rather than injection molded. Little differences that these Express, you see the rifle sights there, these Express Magnums had over the regular Wingmaster. At least, I think that might have been after the 1990s. Not sure. All of my Remingtons are older, including this one. The Wingmaster I have is from the 1960s. They started making 870s, I believe it's 1950. So they've been around a long time. Now, I've read online certain complaints about Remington products after the company was taken over in the early 2000s. I think it was 2007 or 8. That quality control kind of slipped a little, and there were rusting issues. What did I read? They started calling these Rustingtons or something like that. Anyway, it was supposed to be an issue with the bluing salts not being properly washed off the gun before it was oiled up and put in a shipping box. I don't know. I have not personally run into that problem because I just don't have any Remingtons that new. Yeah, I know 2005 doesn't sound that new, but to me it is. Most of my shotguns date from before 1970, except for my Mossbergs. So I'm not used to dealing with that kind of stuff. I don't know if it was just limited to the Remington 700 and the 870 and a few others, or if it was all the Remingtons. Who knows? You can do your own research on that online. I'm not going to get into it because I really don't have any personal experience with that. This is probably the most popular pump shotgun in the history of pump shotguns. It was been around for a long time. I mean, it's 1950. You're talking 75 years. This has been in production, and it is still in production. Remington Arms Company is gone, unfortunately. Rem Arms was created from the ruins to manufacture certain Remington firearms. This being one of them. All the Marlins that they were making went to Ruger. The ammunition got split off to yet another company, but this is still in production. You can still buy a brand new Remington 870 today. And I don't know the price range. I imagine it's probably over $1,000. Don't expect it to be inexpensive, and I'm sure there's all different options, barrel lengths, types of barrel, wood choices, finish choices. You know, everything from Realtree camo to bluing like this one. I'm sure there's probably a stainless steel out there somewhere. No. So they've never really been out of production, I don't think. If they were, it was very briefly during the breakup when the company was being split apart on bankruptcy court. You can get these all over the place used. They were really, really popular with police for a long time. And, you know, you can pick them up. I say cheap, but I'm speaking relatively here. Okay, it's probably still going to be $500 shotgun, even used, unless it's really beat up. And even then, it probably still works because they are that good. There's a reason why law enforcement like these, because they can take a hell of a beating. Really, that's high-grade steel receiver, you know, barrel, everything. It's a really tough gun. It really is. You buy one of these and you pretty much have your pump shotgun for life, I guess. But that goes for most of them. You know, I have lots of Mossbergs. They're tough gun too. All right, bit more aluminum involved there. And if you beat on it too much, you're going to break a few little things. But they're still a pretty tough gun. Winchester, of course, the legendary, you know, Model 12 and the Model 97 maybe before that. You know, High Standard made a lot of nice pump guns too. Who else am I thinking of that I'm forgetting about? Well, anyway, there's a lot of pump guns out there. And they're all fairly decent, you know, if you don't abuse your stuff. If you abuse your shit, well, you know what? You're going to pay the price by having broke down, nasty looking guns. That's, you know, you can tell the quality of a mechanic by how he takes care of his tools. And, you know, the same goes for a hunter. You see a hunter walking around with a rusty gun. Well, you know what? You know, one all beat to hell and everything else. I'm sorry, but you just lost my respect. You know, take care of your shit. And if you buy somebody else's beat up shit, fix it. You know, make it look decent. Preserve it. Keep it nice. You can see this one has a big pad on the back there. And that stock is like new, obviously. It's never been used. It's never been in the field. I don't know if this was taken out on the range and fired a few times. I found no evidence internally when I cleaned this that it had been fired. Everything looks new. There's no scrapes inside from shells moving in and out of the magazine. Nothing. The barrel is spotless. You know, there's no soot buildup anywhere in the nooks and crannies. It's and like I said, when I got it, it was in the box. And it appears like it had never really been out of it. It had never been put together. You can see the 870 Magnum. The barrel code is, what is it, LS, LH? No, it's LH. Really, really clean. The wood all around, you can see over here. This is not something you stumble across every day. And from what I read, the Magnum versions, they will take a 3-inch Magnum shell. Apparently that was the big difference. But were intended as the police model, but I'm sure this would have been sold as a civilian model too. Remington rarely missed a trick, you know, on that. And whenever they had, like, the rolling block, for instance, was a military rifle for a lot of countries, I'm sorry. But you could also get it, you know, from your local gun dealer as a civilian hunting rifle if you wanted to. You know, they chambered it all kinds of commercial rounds too. And I'm sure the same is true for the shotguns, that you could get an 870 Magnum if you wanted one. Okay, yours probably wouldn't have the plain Jane wood or speed feed stocks on it or extended magazines or anything like that. It would look like this, you know, with really, really nice stock on there. And you can tell the difference. I should have brought my Wingmaster out, but I have it packed away at the moment. It would be inconvenient to get to it. You can see the difference in the wood right away. You know, it's much more utilitarian on the basic Wingmaster, which was Remington's, like, their basic model. You know, if you walked into your gun dealer and said, I want the least expensive Model 870 you can sell me, it would be this Wingmaster with just plain Jane wood, normal bluing, no fancy sights, nothing like that, but it's still going to have a high-grade steel receiver, barrel, and everything pretty nice. And if you get it, you know, if it's far enough back in time, it's not going to have any molded parts or anything like that. Not that there's anything wrong with injection molding, you know, metal molding technology, whatever they call it. There's a word for it. I forget what it is. But the average hunter is not likely to break it. Police use, I don't know. You know, obviously in police use, this is going to get a lot more use than the average hunter would give a shotgun. You know, there's going to be qualifications. There's going to be all kinds of stuff like that they have to do. And of course, there's also use in the field. You know, you're fighting the bad guys and all that kind of stuff. It's going to get beat up a little bit more than your average wingmaster will. Really nice checkering on there. So I hopped right on that when I was given the opportunity to acquire this. And if you have any experience with Remington rust issues, and I mean real experience, don't just parrot back to me stuff you read online, and you know, that's just like gossip. I'm looking for anybody who has actual experience and maybe has a, you know, an idea if that bluing salts thing was legit or not. Was that something that was a thing back in the early 2000s, maybe even above 2010? I don't know. I rarely ever buy a new gun. When was the last time I bought a new gun? Let me think. Well, I'll tell you this much. It would have been in the 1980s, early 1980s, when I think I bought a brand new, yeah, I did, a Mossberg 500. A beautiful brand new Mossberg 500. I bought it, I think it was 1983. That would be the last time I actually went and purchased a brand new gun. I like to buy history, so I enjoy buying used vintage firearms. Stuff, the older the better. I'm not put off by a little bit of wear and some scratches and a little spot. All of that tells a story to me. You know, not abuse. We don't want to buy something that's been dragged behind a stagecoach somewhere for 10 miles. No. You know, but normal, used guns that haven't just been beat to hell on purpose, in good shape. And of course, with me, it's primarily military surplus firearms. You know, stuff from the Indian Wars, the First World War, the Second World War, stuff like that. Got to be old, be able to tell some stories to really interest me. Yeah, I can walk into a gun store and look at hundreds of brand new guns all over the place and walk out without anything. It just doesn't do anything for me. Like, yeah, I have something like that. My Springfield will do that. You know, yeah. But you show me a good bargain on a used firearm, and you have to consider it, even one like this used, because I don't know the actual use it may have been put to, however slight. You know, maybe it's been fired once or twice. Maybe it's even been in the field. I don't know. Maybe for some reason the owner just disassembled it and put it back in the box and he was done with it. I couldn't even begin to guess why someone would do that, but, you know, maybe you just wanted to. This would be considered a used firearm, even if it's as nice as it is, just gently used. And to this day, if I see a really good bargain come along, I'm probably going to hop on it, even if I don't need it. I'll find a home for it somewhere. You know, maybe a friend of mine could use it or something like that. Like recently, what did I have? I had a heavily sporterized Model 1903, A3, Model 1903, Remington Model 1903, A3, 1943, I believe it originally was. But heavily sporterized, but done very nicely. Probably done commercially, I would think. The level of workmanship was just too high. Jeweled bolt and all of that stuff, very high-grade wood, and it wasn't just a reshaped military stock. It was an actual aftermarket stock put on there. Really nice wood one. And that was his thing. He was looking for something. A friend of mine was looking for something just like that. And I said, okay, you know, I'm not going to keep this. I will pass that on to him. Because I have original A3s anyway. I don't really need a sporterized one. But he wants a shooter, and that would be perfect for him. And, well, I haven't hunted in a very, very long time, and I'm not likely to take it up now due to some mobility issues I suffer with these days. Something like this is a very good defense shotgun. You need to keep a gun under the bed or in the closet or next to the back door. Something like this would be awesome for that. Because even though it does have that high-grade wood, you could still use this the same way the police do. Okay, you don't have to worry about, you know, just because the wood is too nice. No, this can still be used as a defensive shotgun. The magazine tube holds, I believe it's 4 rounds. I did try to load it. But yeah, my Wingmaster's 4 rounds, and so would this be. It does not have an extended tube on there, although they do make them. They do make extended tubes for this. One of the many accessories you can get for a Remington 870. You could use it for that. You know, it's perfectly good as a defensive model, and I would highly recommend it because it's got an excellent reputation. Even the ones that they said rusted. I did not read anything about them failing to fire or having issues of that nature where they wouldn't actually work. They just didn't look very pretty because they tended to rust. And if it was a salt issue, I guess that could have been solved by washing it. A little soap and water, like you do with black powder firearms. That's how I clean my muskets and all of that stuff. A big pot of hot water and soap and some scrubbing. That takes the salts right out of everything. Water is awesome for that. And then, of course, you just oil it up and clean it up nicely like you would anything else. Here's the front sight. And if you have any insight about the Remington 870 Magnum in this configuration, let me know. Were they sold like this? I suspect they were. What did they go for in the 1980s? My guess would be somewhere around $500. I can remember seeing a rack of 870s at a local hardware store somewhere around 81 or 82, around in there. And they were asking, I think it was $350 to $400, something like that. Now, I don't know if that was their markup on there or something like that. It might have been. But let me know. Let me know. What did you pay for yours? If you bought one in the 1980s? I'm just curious. And I have a good idea what these go for today. I have no plan to sell this. Don't worry about that. But it's just nice to know stuff like this is still out there. And I have seen these out there. This one I did not buy recently. It was quite a while back. But there you go. There is a look at the Remington 870 the Remington 870 Magnum.